Facebook again?
Sure.
Okay. Let's see here.
Brad, do we ever want to test that other thing we were talking about out?
Yeah, some night I think would be fun.
Okay, we'll just try it out. It works.
I mean, they technically can watch it on
yeah, but it's
Facebook,
not.
but it opens
not,
your
right.
your YouTube app.
Right. Mm-hmm. Which would be cool if we could get it to where it did both.
Yeah, where it would stream.
Yeah.
We just need a key or something like that.
You can find one.
I can find the key.
Yeah, you probably have that ability as
in
your profession. Anyway.
Okay, let's see. We've got 7 people in here. Hello, YouTubers. 8 people now. What's going on, everybody? Let me pull up the...
I posted the link, and the picture is me with resting bitch face. Pretty much an analogy for the day, I think.
Yeah, you're not happy with any of these shows so far.
All 3 of these shows have been torture for all 2 of them that we've done so far. Pardon me.
You're predicting the 3rd. Okay, here we go. Coming down 3, 2. Hey, Crawlspacers, welcome to our message board Q&A. Let's introduce the panel. It's same as we've had for the last 2 episodes. We've got Zach. What's going on, Zach?
Woohoo! Message board.
We haven't done message board in a long time. Questions and answers.
I think it was October last time we did it.
Oof, so. Long time. We've got Mike. What's going on, Mike?
Well, ready to answer some questions as best as I can if they're actually addressed to me.
The fans demanded our answers. Here we go. JR, you ready for Q&A?
I'm ready for George to slam Zach again. I mean, these last 2 shows have been there.
George has been brutal to Zach this time.
Stick around.
Resolution has been broken, folks.
Man.
Yeah.
George, what's going on, George?
I'm changing my name to Giggles McSunshine.
Ashley, what's going on, Ashley?
I'm actually awake enough to stick around this time.
There you are. All right.
It's only 6:30.
Yes. So we are streaming this live on YouTube. Currently, we have 11 people watching, and we'll take questions also in the chat on YouTube. But the origin of these questions come from our message board, our newly redesigned message board, which looks really slick.
Yes,
our first one is from Chi-Town Spidey, and you guessed it, he's from Chicago, Illinois. Question to the entire panel: with the rising success of Action Comics and Superman being married with a kid and Batman now recently engaged, do you think Amazing Spider-Man 800 will reverse one more day and get Peter and Mary Jane back together as a married couple, or at least back together despite Slot's rant saying that, quote, it will never, ever happen?
No, and you shouldn't get your hopes up.
No. It should happen, but it won't.
Yeah, Slot, to understand his reference, those that aren't on the message board, Slot got on CBR and went on a multi-day rant, as he often does on CBR's boards, where he's like, it's never going to happen. Never, ever, ever.
Yeah, it's true.
Voice is legit.
Yeah. Well, in a way,
so
in a way, renew your vows. I think in some ways, it's a potential test case scenario that maybe they floated out. Like, here's a way. Okay, fine. You've been complaining about one more day. Here's a bone to the fans here.
But
so
by the way, renew your vows since Conway left has just not been good. I haven't liked it. I haven't liked it at all.
I think Marvel wants. As soon as Conway left and Stegman left, I was like, it's like they're getting ready to shuffle this book off and then say, well, we tried another married Spider-Man and you guys didn't work. You guys didn't buy. But the thing is, though, that's not what people have been asking for. People have not been asking for Mary Jane with superpowers. People have been asking for Peter and Mary Jane to be married in the regular book the way that they should.
We haven't even asked for a kid.
Well, here's the thing.
Yeah, we weren't asking for a new kid.
Yeah.
Well, here's the thing. The book is kind of. Well, speaking of which, the book is essentially turned into Spider-Girl 2.0 now because they've grown they've grown her up into a teenager. So
garbage,
it's
weird.
Time skip.
I even stopped reviewing it on the main review show and stuck Spec in there since that's the main Spider book. But man, let's see. The next one is from let's see. Captain Thwip, a new poster. Hey, Crawlspacers, with the current Amazing Spider-Man team whipping its way into the new year, hopefully with some new books and thwips that we can enjoy. What is the panel's hopes? for Spider-Man this year. I, for one, would love to see Conway and Bagley take over for some old-fashioned solo beatdowns against the Rhino and Stegron. Thanks for all the laughs and the Thwip knowledge. Thank you, or sincerely, Captain Thwip Thwip.
You know, one thing that I actually think is possible this year is to have a redemptive arc for Black Cat. That they had her throw her little hissy fit. And
not with this writer.
No, but we're getting closer.
I think the seeds are being planted for it, yes.
I think she's going to be Killsy McMurder for quite a while. I'm sorry.
Cheers.
Ashley wants to punch me in the face right now.
Everybody gets a turn.
I certainly wanted to punch you in the face earlier, so
come on, brothers. All right. JR, you have any hopes for 2018 with Spider-Man? New writer, more entertaining stories, Norman knows?
Not really. Not really. I've just been I have no faith that anything will change.
A question on the YouTube, Sitharos. JR, will Spencer be on the show again this year as a panelist? You know what? We should bring him on to review this PS4 game and the Spider-Verse movie.
He doesn't have a PS4, dude.
Not yet, but
Daddy's going to get him one.
Not yet.
Come on, Daddy. Did he have fun? Did he enjoy being on the show?
Maybe. Yeah, he did actually. But maybe, but you know, we've got a large show anyway. But maybe, like again, if he gets the game and the next Spider-Man movie, maybe.
Yeah, that'd be fun. He's got an open invitation.
Oh, he's too cool to hang out with me. You got to understand this.
Dad,
JR, you got to be the cool dad.
That's not going to happen. First of all, cool dad is an oxymoron because I sincerely believe if your kid thinks you're cool, then you need to look at what you've done as a parent. Your child is not your friend. It's not supposed to be. But anyway,
Cheers to that.
Any other predictions for 2018?
Hope for the new writer.
It is my sincere hope that there will be a day when Berryman and I can come together and agree on something good for Spider-Man.
I think there's a lot we agree on already. Like
something new with Spider-Man. That's something that's coming out that we're like, hey, we're really excited about this.
Superior Foes is the last time George got excited about something new Spider-Man.
I don't see anything on the horizon that's going to get me excited about anything going on. And I'm sorry, I just don't.
We'll see the reunification of the Korean Peninsula before we'll see.
Yeah. All right, Jolly Jovial Jonas.
He's back!
Location, Justice League Watchtower. Hey, everybody, since the panel is almost entirely different, I want to ask a variation of a question that was on an older podcast. What kind of stories do you think can only be told with Spider-Man that can't necessarily be told with other characters? And inside of that, what kind of stories do you see told? Thanks, and keep up the great work. Anybody?
Ooh, that's a good question.
I would say stories that focus equally on him out of the suit and inside the suit.
Yep.
I think the street level, good, solid, not cliche crime boss stuff is something that is something that's inherently Spider-Man about it. Yes, I know everybody's like, oh, but Daredevil. I understand that, but getting to the street level stuff, getting to the legitimate threats where Spider-Man uses his brain, and not in the contrived way we've seen over the last 10 years, but actually uses, and not in the contrived way we see with the stupid ass cartoon that they have.
Don't hold back, Spidey dude. Tell us how you really feel.
It's a terrible cartoon. Anyway, but that's something that yes, everybody's like, well, Reed Richards in Daredevil. I'm like, yeah, you see that, but there's something inherently Spider-Man about Peter Parker rising above every obstacle that's been thrown at him.
Yep. And
being resilient.
Yep. I would like Spider-Man to beat ass in his own book and not have Black Panther come in, Ant-Man come in, Human Torch come in. The whole
JR's guest star of the month, to save his ass.
JR's whole review this month was examples of what I don't want.
I would like to. I think we'd have to get back to like the idea of Spider-Man be supposed to be like even though he's got a superhero, the idea of him being like on every person who has as normal problems that people face like outside the costume. Like, have we ever seen a story where Spider-Man has to do his taxes, for example?
Yeah.
Well, see, the thing is, though, they keep telling us what they're giving us, but what they're really giving us is Spider-Man is a loser. That's the thing. We're not seeing We're not seeing Spider-Man the ordinary man. We're seeing Spider-Man the loser.
Yes.
I mean, an ordinary man is not necessarily a loser. An ordinary man just has to put up with the same indignities that the rest of us do. You know,
exactly.
That doesn't make certain. You know,
because
if you go in front of somebody who's got 21 items in the 20-item line or something, I mean, it's not everything has to be breaking him down.
I hate those assholes.
Yeah,
I missed it. What do you hate in the grocery store? What was it?
The guy that has 25 items in the 20.
People with too much shit in like the only a few things line. Yeah, those people can go straight to hell.
Do you like self-checkouts, George?
Yes, God, yes. Do I love self checkout? God, yeah.
The less human interaction, the better.
Yeah,
it's 10 times faster because you see, you used to back in the day, back when we were young. You used to see like these people that would be standing in line with like 3 things in their hand, waiting on the poor little family of 3 that's got 2 basket full of food for the next month.
It's Michael Reed wants a story about Spider-Man running from the IRS.
There you go.
IRS creates a supervillain called the Taxman, and the Taxman goes around and chases after Spider-Man.
We already saw
Spider-Man.
We already
had too many deductions, Spider-Man.
Not no more.
I'm gonna tax you. Yeah. All right. Anyway, that's funny. Okay. Welcome back, Jolly Jovial. Cheese Dick, North Hollywood, California. Hi, friends. We had a thread going on this message board, and I have to know, who do each of you think is the single greatest writer of Spider-Man comics after Stan Lee, and why?
Roger Stern.
Roger Stern's a close one. I think JMD Hideas is another one. I mean, he could be. I mean, certain stories of his are really good.
Jerry Conway.
Jerry Conway's another one. Yeah.
DeFalco.
DeFalco has to. I mean,
Peter David. Peter David's another one.
Yeah. I think there's your top 5 right there.
Yep.
Easily.
Yeah. I don't have it. I've recently reread Amazing from 1 to whatever 430. What was the last issue? 436.
441.
I know JR.
441.
I know JR is itching to say J.M. DeMatteis.
He is a good writer. He is a very good writer.
Yeah.
But that's where an editor needs to say, stop taking the hallucinogenic drugs or whatever.
Honorable mention, Bill Mantlo.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Definitely.
Bill Mantlo.
At the
sometimes
time,
I think.
Oh, sorry. At the time, I liked David Michelinie a lot more than I did in the reread. I didn't like Michelinie as much.
Out of all the ones that we've listed, he's
probably number 9.
Yeah,
in all time.
What were you saying, JR?
No, I was just going to say, I think sometimes your definition of who the best writer is almost depends on your mood. Sometimes what you're in the mood for, really, and to be honest, I've developed more of an appreciation lately for J. Michael Straczynski stuff. Although I had a lot of problems with it, and still have a lot of problems with it. I mean, there were a lot of, but he tried to write about an intelligent Spider-Man.
Yeah.
So it's in the context of what we've seen for the last several years. His storytelling at least has kind of gone up a few notches, in my opinion.
No one wrote The Marriage better than Straczynski.
Straczynski is good. I mean, there's certain parts of Straczynski that he's good. He's really good at.
Yeah, he understood.
But there's other parts of it. But there's certain other stuff that he gets into.
Interactions.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
666
Totem stuff aside. Yeah.
From Southern California. Hey, everyone, what things do y'all plan for in 2018 for the Crawlspace? Interviews, etc. Any plans to expand the content to the YouTube channel with other types of videos? Not to say that the podcast videos aren't great. Hey, everyone. I hope everyone is having a good 2018. I would like to get my website stable.
I was having a great 2018 until today.
tech support people.
Yeah, more novels that I write to tech support people.
Yeah.
We just
gosh.
The top three things we want for Crawlspace is make sure that the site is stabilized and working properly.
Yep.
It's been we apologize for all the technical issues. I think we've hopefully we're getting towards the end of that tunnel, because I know it's frustrating for Brad.
Yep.
But we
upgraded the message board. That looks nice.
Tell them how much spam we were getting, Brad.
Oh yeah,
here,
I saw that.
I'll pull it up. I can actually tell you real time what we've had this month. We're talking like 11,000 in a week.
Yeah, but tell them what we were getting before then. Remember, wasn't it like in the couple 100,000?
Mm-hmm.
Something stupid like that.
Yeah. We had so many dummy. I think we had like 25,000 dummy accounts.
Yeah, it was literally just getting beat down. So it took the site down with spam attacks. I guess these are called brutal attacks or whatever. I forget what they're called.
Or bot. Yeah, they're basically bots.
Brute force bots.
Yeah. So the site was just getting hammered.
That's very similar to how they did to iCloud for all the iCloud stuff that got leaked online, all that stuff. Similar style of attack.
I've had nearly 10,000 spam attack the spam firewall this week. So yeah, it's crazy.
But at least you got one up and everything, so it's blocking a lot of that. So
there's still some bugs we got to work out, but
making it stable is my top goal. If I have to move hosts, if I have to do something else, that's my goal.
Ask us that question in 6 months and see where
that's true.
Yeah.
T-Gone 5679. T-Gone, we don't know where he gone. He's no location on his information. Hey, Happy New Year's, guys. JR, George, Zach, and Mike. What about Ashley? The Ultimate Goblin was a huge misstep and disappointment, since I prefer the classic version in the mask and the costume, even though I did like Ultimate Norman before he would Hulk out. How do you guys think the Goblin should have been introduced in Ultimate, or if the books were ever rebooted? Rebooting the Ultimate Universe? What? I always thought the Ultimate Goblin origin was too similar to the villain in the Swamp Thing film, with a formula that enhances and magnifies the subjects, and the villain thinks it will make him a greater version of himself, only be turned into a mindless monster. Keep up the great work, and any chance for a special Hulk-related shows from time to time, maybe a top 10 episode or something on classic issues from the comics.
Well, you check out the most recent
Fight Club.
Friday Night Fight. Yeah. I think the best way to do Ultimate Goblin would just be not to do Ultimate Goblin or anything Ultimate. I think that's probably the best.
Let's go to the Goblin expert. You hated Hulk Goblin, right?
Yeah, I hated Hulk Goblin. I think it's the idea of Norman turning into a literal monster is off. It's not. Norman is a metaphorical monster. Norman is the monster who walks among you.
Physical monster. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, he's the guy. He's the monster who walks among you, and you don't recognize that he is one.
Norman is the one who knocks.
Okay.
You don't like this guy?
No.
We saw it, Zach. We saw it. Okay.
Honestly, if you wanted to do it.
Oh, sorry, Mike. Go ahead. Or somebody.
No, go ahead. Okay, go ahead, Ashley.
Oh, okay. I'll leave you then. The question wasn't addressed to me, but I'm going to take the stage anyway, because I did read all of Ultimate. That was one of the first things I read getting into Spider-Man.
Oh my God.
I think if they'd handled it similar to Spectacular Spider-Man, that would have been really good, because I love the relationship there between Peter and Norman, and how we kind of had the favoritism, and how Norman kind of treated Peter like the good son, and that was just the way Norman treated Harry in that show. Oh my God, that was a messed up dynamic. So
I like what Enigma
Ashley just
says.
Ashley just stole my answer, by the way. About how they could handle the Ultimate thing.
Just do everything.
I mean, that was okay, because it was exactly. But I mean, especially the fact that one of the things about, I think, in Jarek and correct me on this, is that the Green Goblin started off as a mystery villain. So if somehow they could have done that in Ultimate Spider-Man, like in the beginning, or Bendis could have done that to try to create like a new mystery out of it, then maybe like kind of imply that maybe this version of the Green Goblin isn't Norman like you think it is, and maybe that would have kind of gone on.
The only person that was able to believably pull off the mystery of the Green Goblin in an adaptation was Spectacular.
Oh yeah, exactly.
They did it well enough to where they threw enough red herrings at you, and made you think it wasn't. Maybe it wasn't Norman. That it really worked. Unlike,
I like the comment on YouTube chat. Enigma says, "Damn it, JR, just write an Osborne miniseries already." All right, I would read it. I would read it.
Hey, that'd make for a pretty awesome Netflix miniseries. The
Osborne years, yeah.
the Osborns.
The Osborne. Spider Sensei 13 says, "Who or what does the gang think that the Red Goblin will be? Any chance that Mephisto is involved?" If you guys are going to answer that one on a later Spider Show or something, I got another one. We actually already talked about that on the news show. What do you think a what if story would play out where Harry Osborn got the spider bite? JR, that's pretty good.
That's an interesting one.
Harry got the spider bite and his dad's a goblin. Father-son fight.
Yeah,
pretty good.
Somebody could do something with that, or Norman is sitting there ranting and raving about the goblin and it's his own son. I mean, the Spider-Man and it's its own son. Somebody could do something with that.
That's a pretty good idea. I like that.
Yeah.
Anybody else thoughts on that one? That'd be a good what if story.
Would be an interesting what if. Yeah. A little bit Darth Vader, Luke Skywalker-ish, but
it's true.
Yeah.
I am your father. I am your son. Alistair 12. Location 12. No, it had so many posts. Yes. Happy New Year to all. How you write a what if one shot exploring a world where Peter had a kid with Felicia Hardy? Ashley, how do you write a story where Peter has a kid with the black cat? What?
This is where we dive into Ashley's embarrassing history when she was in high school.
Right.
Let's see here.
Ashley, when you cover this, I also want you to cover the fact that in this sort of universe, Peter would probably have chlamydia or herpes.
Hey.
Dang.
Like he doesn't already.
Ashley, I love how
I'm pretty sure Peter has had more girlfriends than Felicia's had canon boyfriends.
Oh, dang!
Boy, he obviously needed to borrow some Zach's Spidey condoms then.
There was a what if where Spidey and Felicia got married, and I hate it, and it's the most spiteful thing ever written because it ends with Felicia freaking dying.
That's how every what if issue ends.
Yeah. But anyways, now
yeah,
going back to my story. So I think I've mentioned it before that I have had a long and sporadic affair with fan fiction. I wrote my own fan fiction quite extensively when I was in
Jack
high school. Oh yeah, Jack would help me write some stuff. So we actually had this one going on that was in the I forget what the universe is, but with Spider-Girl and everything, where Felicia actually does have a daughter, Felicity. Right. And we were like, oh, what if like he came up as like, what if Felicia had to tell Peter that, and they're like, oh, Felicity is actually your daughter, and oh my god, it was no. I'm not gonna say anymore because I'm just gonna crawl into a ball and die.
I love that Hornacek says that Ashley's New Year's resolution is to lay a smackdown on George in every podcast.
in Ashley's headcanon, she has laser eyes and sets me on fire until I burn to death. And then at dawn, I'm reincarnated like a phoenix, and then she does it again.
Translation. George Berryman is Bill Murray in Groundhog Day when it comes to Ashley.
Yep. He keeps having it over and over the same insult.
Yep.
Well, and then every day, I'm going out of my way. He just keeps setting it up for me.
Then every day she finds a new way to kill me.
I'm just an opportunist.
Yeah. Wow, that's pretty good. All right, let's see.
So to answer the question, we just took that universe and combined them. So
good. No. Let's see. Enigma 2099 location classified. To the Crawlspacers, anyone know where I can put a question to be asked on the podcast briefly? On a scale of 1 to beep, how pissed were you really about Michelle Jones?
Beep.
Oh.
Who?
Yeah.
It's Michelle Jones in the end of Homecoming.
MJ. Yeah.
Zendaya.
That's pretty dark. That was several beeps.
By the time we got to that point, I was already so done with that movie. I was just ready to get the hell out of the theater. I mean, so
I knew it was coming too. I knew they were going to pull something like that with the whole way they were trying to talk up Zendaya's character. That whole thing, I was expecting
do it or don't do it is my theory. Don't half-ass call her
exactly.
Michelle. Call her
think-
Mary Jane, or
Mhm.
don't, or be gone with it. You know, don't do
I
it.
could care less what they
Yeah.
do with the character. Whether they want to call her MJ or Michelle, I'm like, you know what? If she just wants to go stay in her little corner and be her cynical self, fine. But if they're actually trying to set up a relationship or a romance between Tom Holland, Peter, and this
Zendaya.
Peter versus MJ, I'm like, that is not going to work. There is zero chemistry between those characters. She is
Yep.
absolutely not Peter's type at all with the whole cynical. Like I
She
like her
flipped him off
fine
at
as
a party.
character, but there's just
Mary
nothing
Jane doesn't do that.
to
By the-
tie these characters together.
It's funny. Enigma is actually in the YouTube
Yeah.
chat who just asked this question. He said the scale is from 1 to go to hell, Brad. Okay,
Oh.
I'm sorry. All right, Enigma, I didn't catch that. That was funny. Okay, the next one is from the Proto Goblin, who was allegedly going to be in the Amazing Spider-Man 1 movie, but he was not. Happy New Year's to the Mighty Crawlspace panel. Before I get to my question, I just want to say I'm looking forward to a New Year's worth of Friday Night Fights, the podcast where George and company remind us at every episode that Spider-Man is supposed to beat ass, not suck it.
Yes.
Now, my question for you guys today is simply put, which characters do you believe should know Spider-Man is Peter Parker and why?
I can name 3 right now. Mary Jane. Well, no, Mary Jane already knows. Aunt May, Norman Osborn, and let's see, the third one.
Fantastic Four?
I think the Torch.
Fantastic Four. Well, they already know. The Torch already knows.
I would. You know what? I'm going to go out on a limb and say Daredevil before Human Torch, and that Daredevil
yeah.
works better than Human Torch knowing. Unless you want to say the whole Fantastic Four knows, in which case that also works.
Yeah. Flash Thompson should know at some point by now.
I don't think so.
Yeah.
Yes.
I mean,
because that was
no.
their whole arc together, and just like,
The Venom symbiote should know too because it's bonded with Peter. But
Yes, Venom should know. Felicia should know.
so by default, everyone in the Venom Inc. arc should know.
everyone in the Venom arc
Everyone
should
who
know.
got the
Yes.
Venom spit on them should know.
Felicia should know.
Yes.
Don't you think, Ashley? Shouldn't she know? She dated him.
That was their whole arc together. That was literally like
Yes.
the entire flame of their relationship. You know, Peter Parker or Spider-Man, and
Yep.
just like, but no, brand new day.
And proper canon, Felicia should know and just not give a shit
Yeah.
because she was never turned on by Peter Parker.
No.
Mhm.
Enigma says Wolverine because he can smell him.
Well, she was. She
Which
regretted
one?
it later.
Which Wolverine though? Because there's now like what 3, 4 of them now. Because you got Old Man Logan, you got
Wolverine.
X-23, and then you got Wolverine. The original one has been brought back, and now you've got I think Dakin or something.
Spider Yoda. Who should know?
Oh, I can't offer anything that you guys really haven't already, to be honest.
Robbie knows. I'm still.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, I believe Robbie knows.
I don't think Jonah should know.
I have a problem with Jonah and Flash knowing.
Yep.
One, because Jonah, with Jonah, it's very, very complicated with all the things he's done and said about Spider-Man over the years. But to me, Jonah and Flash can't make that connection. You know, other people can make that connection, but to me, Jonah and Flash each have their own idea of who Spider-Man is, and Peter does not fit that. So to me, you would have other people figure it out before them. That's the thing. And frankly, I expect this Jonah knowing thing to be retconned eventually. I mean,
I think it's going to be retcon when we wipe the world that Peter was a billionaire.
Yeah,
Or it was Bill Gates.
It's such poor storytelling that we have to get to that point. We have to do that kind of stupid bullshit to fix the stupid bullshit that some other person put down. It's ridiculous.
See,
I blame Slott and I blame Lowe.
I thought Secret Wars, the second Secret Wars, was going to fix. I mean, that was the impression I had.
They could have fixed a lot of stuff.
Yeah, that it was going to fix a lot of things.
All right, we've got B. Taylor, 0207. B. Taylor from the Andy Griffith Show. This kid is probably too young to know the Andy Griffith Show, but anyway. No, actually, it looks like he's stopped reading Spider-Man several times. During my time as a Spider-Man fan, I've stopped reading 3 times. The Clone Saga, Brand new day and now. However, I'm currently reading a number of back issues on Spider-Man or Marvel Unlimited. I've noticed that the era directly post-Clone Saga with Peter has the largest gaps in issue availability. I particularly remember issues being hard to find during that time period. Does anyone on the panel understand why? Was it due to Marvel's bankruptcy, or is Marvel trying to lay low after the Clone Saga? Zach, that has you all over. That's a 90s question.
That's very much a 90s question. There was
so basically, and another way of asking the question, Spider Dude, he's saying, why is the period after Peter came back and we realized that the clone was just a clone, why is that more popular and hard to find?
I thought it was before the Clone Saga.
Zach needs to hire Ashley for bodyguard protection.
So, well, okay. Here's the thing: the print run, I think, was essentially, to my knowledge, and I'd have to verify with some sources. I think the print run was still the same. I think that you had a lot of people that came back during that era because of the Clone Saga being so divisive, and I think that there's not as many people that have that the back issues are readily available. So I am going to be in somewhat of agreement with George in that regard. However, I wish now the Sensational Spider-Man run with DeZago and Mike Ringo got published. So pretty much the entire run from issues 7 all the way through issue 31. So that's a good chunk of that era. Basically, the only things that have not been published are the Amazing. You can get Amazing Spider-Man via Marvel Unlimited, but the Spectacular, a lot of Spectacular has not been put up on Unlimited.
It's slowly been put up. This past in November, they put up at least 30 issues.
They got a long way to go.
Yeah, I agree.
10%.
Spec would be my next read through. I'm not. There's a lot of gaps I haven't read.
I have all those issues. I enjoy them greatly. I don't know if it was due to bankruptcy. They may have slowed down the print run. There was a lot of behind the scenes stuff that I don't not as knowledgeable on it because we don't have like a Life of Riley type thing. There was a plan for a Life of Riley sequel to detail all the way up through the reboot. But that never materialized.
The Life of Riley, that whole series of introspective looks is easily 10 times more interesting than anything in the Clone Saga.
Yeah, it's a fascinating read.
I think it could be. I mean, I don't know anything about the print runs or whatever, but I think it could be because sales kept falling. I mean, because that was one reason they did that idiotic reboot, but that was the reason the sequel to the Life of Riley was going to be the Death of Spider-Man. That's what they were going to call it because the sales kept dropping. So my guess is maybe the print runs were declining because the sales were dropping. You know, it's like when I was trying to find like Dark Avengers #2 once, I missed it, and I can't find it anywhere. And some store helped me find it. It was like, well, because the print runs always go down on #2, and that's why they're harder to find. You know, everybody can find it #1 because the print runs were so high. But that's not maybe material.
All right, let's do a question from Frontier. To the gang, what are your thoughts on the idea that Peter should have a career that is more based around his passion of science, like Horizon Labs, rather than something like the Bugle, which has no relevance to him beyond a source of income and possible leads for Spider-Man?
I'll go ahead. No, you go ahead. You go ahead.
I wasn't here for the episode where y'all covered it, but what they're doing recently with him being like a science writer, I think that's actually a really good fit because it's not as he's actually, you know, doing it on his own merit and not writing on, you know, one of his arch nemesis's works and passion projects. And it's kind of capitalizing on his ability to not only, you know, be really familiar with science, but to communicate it to a more general audience. So I thought that was a really smart move.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the one thing I don't think he should be is, I mean, the one problem I do have with his new job of the Bugle being a science writer, science editor. Yeah. Science editor. He should not be in a management position. I mean, have we learned nothing from the whole Parker Industries thing? I mean, just everything about that. That whole entire thing was basically trying to show you why he is such an ineffectual person to be put in charge of anything. This is a guy who is supposed to, he can barely kind of, you know, the whole idea is he's supposed to try to balance his life. Like being Spider-Man makes his life even more, you know, hectic and everything. So trying to put him in a managerial position, kind of makes
Well,
things.
I think that they did
yeah.
that, or Slott did that due to conflict. I mean, that gives him
conflict.
conflict.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
That creates conflict, but that's not something you can sustain. That's not sustainable and everything.
I think the reason they keep going back to the Daily Bugle, the thing is, if you want Peter to have a job, it's not so much the job he has, but the people that surround him.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the reason they keep going back to the Bugle, I mean, again, now it's so scattershot anymore. Who's in charge of what? But you had Jonah and Robbie and Betty, and you had this group of characters that he had a dynamic with. Every time they give him a job in science, they gave him a bunch of dullards to hang out with.
Mm-hmm.
Like that United Nations cast they had when they rebooted the first time around. With the where I mean, I'm sorry. I mean, it's like it's one of those. I don't want to get on a diversity argument or whatever, but when you have one of each, and then it's like, then you make an African American character a handicapped. I mean, it's almost like, oops, I've only got one more character to play with. I better get 2 affected classes. And that's the kind of thing that we get when they try to create a new supporting cast.
You had three, JR. Don't forget, she was black, female, and handicapped. Okay. Three.
So, but anyway, it's they've not given him, to give him another job, they've got to give him characters that he can have a decent relationship and interaction with, and they haven't quite struck that yet.
Yeah. Aziz from Holland. Of all the tales, all the takes on Peter Parker out of comics, I realize that the best 80s cartoons and the worst Ultimate Spider-Man are in animated shows. The second worst take is Homecoming. This guy gets cocky after losing twice to Birdman. His involvement caused all property damage. He steals Flash's car and phone, steals chemicals from school to make his webs. I don't get the love for this piece of shit. And the movie is not better than decent as far as story quality goes.
I like that it's not that he doesn't even ask a question. He just drops truth.
He just ramble. He just kind of yeah, exactly. He just kind of comes in and just.
Aziz just did a drive-by message board question. Drove up, got out of the car, pulled out his sawed-off shotgun, shot off, got back in his car. I'm out of here.
All Aziz's shootings be drive-bys.
By the way, you bleeped up his location. It says Andrew Peter greater than Holland.
Oh, I didn't see that. I thought he was from Holland. Sorry, Aziz. Got it. Okay. Aziz just wanted to rant. All right. Okay.
Yeah, that's fine.
I have one objection real quick, though.
Go ahead.
Talking about all the property damage, that's more. I think that is less a demonstrating some kind of flaw on Holland Peter's part. It's more part of the recent trend to try and have more realistic portrayals of superheroes and having if we're having these great big fights between these superpowered individuals, there's going to be a lot of property damage.
Then you go to Zack Snyder and it becomes a disaster porn.
But JR, how long would it take how much would it cost to do an Uber?
JR, don't be scared to flip him off. Run with it. I do it all the time, and it makes you feel so much better.
Yeah, but the thing is, though, to flip someone off, you have to be genuinely angry and not so much feeling pity. That's the thing.
Me, I'm generally angry. He's more apathetic.
Oh my gosh! All right, last question. YouTubers, before we wrap it up, I want you guys, if you want to throw some questions our way, start thinking of some questions.
There's 2 questions, Douglas. There's another page. Where? Hit page 2.
Oh, there's page 2. I'm so sorry. Last 2.
Back to my previous point. I get more pity than anger.
Oh Lord! I thought when I last looked at this, we had 1 page. Mask Guy from Fresno, California. I'd like to personally thank Brad for approving my overlooked gyms idea. It's been a real blast writing articles for you guys. I appreciate you doing it too, Mask Guy. Thank you.
A lot of fun.
You nailed Spectacular 250, by the way. That was a great issue.
Yep. Question to everyone: with news that Dan Slott's overly long run will be wrapping up soon, where would you say he ranks among Spider-Man artists? Would you place him? Would you place him
We know
among
Jordan's answer, don't we, folks?
the all-time worst, like Denny O'Neil and Terry Kavanaugh and Howard Mackey? I don't think Howard Mackey's one of the all-time worst.
Howard Mackey kind of gets a little unfairly dumped on. I think.
I agree.
in
He just
respect.
ran out of steam. But go ahead.
They kept they kept Mackey in place too long. That's why Mackey.
Slot's problem.
But here's the thing. I'm not going to say Denny O'Neil's a bad writer. He wasn't. Here's the thing. You can be a good writer and just not be a good fit for a character.
Yeah, that's true.
Denny O'Neil's a great writer. Denny O'Neil did insane, amazing things with Batman.
Yeah, absolutely.
Absolutely had no business writing Spider-Man. Dan Slott's the same way. Dan Slott apparently wrote a pretty good Silver Surfer. I wouldn't know because I didn't read the damn thing. But everybody talks about how great it was. Can't write Spider-Man. So but here's the thing. I mean, at the end of the day, I'm not going to say that Dan Slott, like when it comes to Spider-Man writers, is worse than Denny O'Neil. I think Denny O'Neil's probably forgotten more about writing than Dan Slott will ever know. So,
and to be honest, we don't even know if Denny O'Neil really wrote those because there's been stories about him farming that work out. I mean, he did not like Spider-Man. He admitted that was not his character, and I think he was basically given that job because someone was giving him a job at a particular time in his life. So I don't know, weigh it with that, I suppose. Terry Kavanaugh on the other hand, that was another story.
When you go,
Terry Kavanaugh.
Terry Kavanaugh. Okay.
Hey, hang on. We say that, but who understands Peter better on a fundamental level, Kavanaugh or Slott?
Kavanaugh.
Ooh.
Seriously, ask yourself that.
know.
Ask yourself that.
So,
Kavanaugh.
George, would you rank Slott your least favorite Spider-Man writer? How would you rank?
No, he's a fraction above Quesada.
Oh, that's right. Because they did write a couple issues.
Quesada being the
thanks one moment
the basement on Spider-Man writers, and Slott being the guy that
Quesada, Slott, and then Kavanaugh for you?
Probably, yeah. I don't know. I'm not that big of a fan of Michelini. I'm not.
I'm not either.
I'm not either. And he definitely did not know what the hell to do with Mary Jane.
His era was all those, and maybe it wasn't so much his fault, but I mean, his era was all those bloated 6-parters, assassination plot, round robin, all that kind of stuff.
And of course, the coup de grace being Maximum Carnage too. And wasn't that his thing too?
What was the jury, that kind of crap, always that kind of stuff.
We cut poor Zach off twice.
Oh, sorry.
Oh.
Well, I just was waiting for everybody to get done before I could jump in. Look, Kavanaugh got the character. Problem was Kavanaugh's plots were terrible. I mean, who was Facade? No one cares.
Yeah.
The Sandstorm storyline that nobody remembered but me last month.
I remember that.
So yes, Kavanaugh, I felt like got the character, but I think he gets him on par with Slott, if not a little more than Slott.
Well, the thing is also
gave us the femme fatales is one second. Art attacks.
The other thing is Kavanaugh also ruined. He's not with the, because it was this guy with the Clone Saga. He also was the architect behind Teen Tony. And,
gosh,
yeah,
that was awful.
Slott was the architect of Parker Industries.
That's true. That's right.
All right, last question from somebody. Help me say his name.
Wow, Symbio Bro.
Symbio Bro. There we go. From Canada's West Coast.
I'm not even looking at the screen.
I don't know. With all the rumors of Dan Slott leaving the book soon, everybody thinking up their dream replacements, I thought I'd take it in a different direction just for fun. What is each of your personal nightmare creative team to replace Dan Slott on the book? And no, Dan Slott staying on is cheating. Example, America's writer Gabby Rivera with Squirrel Girl's artist Erica Henderson is his.
Oh yeah. Yeah, that would be a interesting combination.
I don't read books that I hate, so I don't know the creative teams.
Anyone who's gonna put their own political agenda ahead of the story, and this is why I think Spencer if Nick Spencer is the one that replaces Slott, that's going to be a landmine. Because here's the thing: that dude is unhinged, and he will not be able to keep his political bullshit out of Spider-Man.
Well, I think
that the Spencer that wrote Superior Foes is dead, and he was replaced with a clone that is woke as hell.
Yeah, well, I think the thing that Spencer might have been a shoo-in if not for Secret Empire, because that thing got blasted all over the place, even by people, you know. So I think that really hurt his credibility there with after that crossover thing, and how it just, I mean, especially, I mean, because that heads I think rolled after that thing, you know, was finished. I think that's a good, and that was the thing that he would, that because that was his thing, and that was also, I think, probably attributable to Axel Alonso, you know, leaving Marvel too, essentially. So Spencer being,
so in that essence, we should thank Spencer.
Yeah, probably so in some respects. Yeah. So I'm not sure if Spencer might have been a good possibility for a new Amazing Spider-Man after Secret Empire. I just don't know. I don't know if they can. I don't know if the folks in Marvel are
radioactive.
He is radioactive.
Yeah,
right, he just is.
Well, that's appropriate since he's got radioactive blood.
Uh-huh.
Make Ashley answer. She hasn't talked.
Ashley, you got any people that suck?
I would say the writer of I don't know what their name was or if they're still on it, but the writer of Thor during the Lady Thor introduction.
Oh, I like Jason Aaron. You don't like Jason Aaron?
Nah, he'd be terrible too.
Some of the stuff I saw, like from some of the excerpts I saw, I'm like, this is bad.
I love Jason Aaron.
Isn't that the guy you only like because he's from Missouri?
Yes, and I've interviewed him. I've met him in person. He's
just because they're from Missouri doesn't make him a good writer.
All right, here comes JR's Missouri joke. Come on, JR, hit me up. Show me an insult. Yeah.
I let your dead politicians and your anti-science politicians and your professors looking for safe spaces. I let them speak for themselves.
Your crazy ass universities.
Real quick. You two, real quick questions that you'd like the panel to answer in real time for the next couple minutes.
Okay.
Hornacek, quit paging Mel Carnahan. Stop.
Jason Aaron did do the Spider-Man Wolverine miniseries.
Yeah, that was a good book.
Yeah,
I like that.
That was all right. Yeah.
Jason Aaron did a good Star Wars run.
While we're waiting on questions, something that I've kind of realized, all these questions about like, oh, this writer and this writer, and I'm like, I'm not really familiar with a lot of writers. And you know why that is? Because Slott's been on it during my entire career as a Spider-Man fan.
You've had 3 years to go back and look at stuff. You had one job.
I'm not going to remember. I'm not going to remember names like digging back. That's like homework. But if there were new writers coming on and I would as I was currently reading, I would remember them more vividly.
So I think we know what we're getting Ashley for her wedding gift. It's a list.
I can't even believe that you haven't read the Bill Mantlo and period with Dr. Octopus and Black Cat. I can't believe
I've read all their stuff. Don't get me wrong, but I'm just not going to be able to keep track of the writers and specific names as well because I don't know, something about going back instead of having it actively. I don't know. Maybe it's just the way my brain works. But
Dark Raven had a good point. The thoughts on the slaughter of so many books at once, like She-Hulk. What else?
You got with George on that. There was you had I think America's being canceled. You had
I didn't even know that was a thing until I read about it being canceled. I didn't even know that it was I had never even heard of the character or realized that there was a diverse Captain America replacement. Never heard of it.
But there's a bunch of those guys. America, Luke Cage is gone. I think Gwen Cole was finally gone.
But unfortunately, we're still getting the Marvel Legend.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if there was rumors about Spider-Gwen possibly going after Robin.
Yeah, there was rumors for that.
But there was a whole list of a bunch of them that
Gwen Poole, Gwenum. Give me a break.
Yeah, but there was a whole. Yeah, but there was a whole bunch of them that were just basically getting the axe, and I think part of it is the reason. And all you have to do is just look at the sales estimates that come out every month. And you can just basically see which titles are going, because anything that goes below 20,000 in the estimates, that's usually a sign that they're going to get the chopping block pretty soon.
Yep.
And so for anyone who was complaining about these comics getting axed, are getting axed because no one was buying them. No one was reading them.
The Ben Reilly book is near that, Zach. And I think the Ben Reilly book is okay. I just lost my.
Ben Reilly is one of those books that's had a really crappy premise. and
had a crappy 6 issues until issue 7.
Well, it's a clone thing. It started with a crappy premise.
Well,
it's the quote Thomas Aquinas. You know, the error in the beginning is the error indeed, and that's exactly what happened with the thing.
What do you think, Zach? I mean, I'd like that book to continue, but with those numbers, I don't think it will.
I was surprised it's gotten to issue 12. Quite frankly, the way it started was so horrendously bad that right out of, even before the first issue was published, how horrendously bad it was. Because nobody liked the costume. Everybody threw a temper tantrum, like, what the f is this? And so, you know, and it's a kind of big, giant, tongue-in-cheek way, issue 3 was able to rectify that. But that's a title that I'm happy that it's on the stands because I'm a Ben Reilly fan. But same time, there's still, characterization is still off throughout part of the book. Yeah. And
they brought the Slingers back.
Wasn't Bagley doing the art on that?
Yeah, he did.
He finally remembered that one doctor lady was supposed to be frumpy.
The Will Sliney from 2099's on the book now, which he does a solid job.
Yeah, he does a solid job. Now, they've had some fill-in artists though that are not as
not as good.
Just to give folks an idea of some of the titles that have other titles have been canceled, you got Generation X, Guardians of the Galaxy, Hawkeye, Iceman, Jean Grey, Royals, which was an Inhumans title, Secret Warriors, which was an Inhumans title. I think the U.S. Avengers and Uncanny Avengers, they're being consolidated into Avengers because they're doing that like weekly Avengers thing.
Sucks that they're making Avengers Weekly to incorporate those failed Avengers teams.
Yeah,
which is U.S. Avengers and Uncanny Avengers and
right.
That sucks.
Yeah, and they're doing like, what is it, 16-part thing that's going to be like every issue is like what,
leading up to
$5?
Oh no, hell no, hell no. And if you buy that,
that's on you.
You're part of the problem if you're buying that.
I'm part of the problem.
Yeah, exactly.
This almost opens up, maybe because we're too close to the end or whatever, to open something up maybe larger. But I remember you guys were talking about like falling down below the 20,000 threshold or the $15,000 threshold, and I think most of you guys were around. I mean, it really hasn't been that many years since we've been able to follow monthly sales, but you know, and I'm thinking, I mean, I'm specifically asking George because I know we were at Hero Realm together, and you know, we were starting to look at stuff at that time. I think when we were started studying that stuff, but wasn't the threshold like 35,000?
Yeah,
you know, that's
because Amazing Spider-Man under Mackie, when things got really shit bad, was down to like 37, 35. Yeah. I mean, at its like lowest point, and that's why people were like, dude, tap the brakes on this shit.
Yeah. And I mean, when you would look at like the top 300, I mean, you would still, I mean, there would still be, you know, sales in the thousands, but now, I mean, you know, when you talk about 20,000 being your threshold, I mean, that's almost 50%. And that's not been that long ago. We're talking within like the last 15 or so years. I mean, again, maybe it's something for other broadcast, but there's a real serious problem here.
I'll tell you right now, the way the sales have dwindled, I think it's a direct result of two things. The fact that most brick and mortar stores have been closing. The fact the rise of Comixology and eventually it's purchased by Amazon, I think has totally changed the ball game. Digital is now a real market, so the print market is now, of course, George has said it, I think 10,000 times, seems like, but print's dying. Everybody knows it's dying.
There's too many goddamn titles.
Yeah,
well, and the price.
Yeah, and they all cost $5,
and not enough.
$4 or $5 a book, too much.
Here's the other thing too, though. I mean, I'm of the opinion that, I mean, the format does not really matter as long as the content is good. And with just the content we've been getting as of late has not been up to the standards that it should be.
Yep.
I mean, even if it was digital, even if you got to switch to an all digital format, if the content's no good, no one. I mean, after a while, sooner or later, no one's going to purchase this.
Kalish Warlord had a couple questions I like. Would anybody buy an Agent Anti-Venom series with Flash and Mania?
You would buy it?
Well, here's the thing.
You'll buy any fucking thing?
That's Symbiote Bro, by the way. It's
well, yeah, and also there was also a question addressed to me too, or something like that. I mean, honestly, I can kind of see Venom Inc. as kind of being a segue to an anti-Venom series because they're totally setting up for that.
They're not telling
but
stories. They're telling advertisements for other. And look,
I know they are.
Books that will eventually get canceled.
Yeah,
they're
canceled.
trying to do is sell another #1 and then trying to keep it going for maybe another 6 months.
Right.
So they can put it into a grade. This is garbage.
Because at this rate, if they
trim it,
at this rate, if they did.
I was going to say, I'm sorry. I guess, this is what happens. I mean, if you don't do it late and I start falling asleep at 2, then I just keep talking. But even with the rise of digital, I mean, these books would still be published if they had like really strong digital sales. I mean, how many times have you seen, well, maybe the monthlies aren't too good, but I think Ms. Marvel was an example, but it was killing it in the early trades. Yeah. So, I mean, if some of these things were really killing it digitally, just maybe soft, they wouldn't be canceling them altogether. They'd be saying, maybe going digital only or something. So, it's just digital has changed the delivery method, but it's not. These things still suck. There's no saving them.
Right. No, we go back to Spider-Girl for a minute. The digital died, or not the digital. It was the first digital title.
Yeah.
That Marvel offered, but it also was kept afloat due to the digests being incredibly good sellers, because they were cheap. They were $7-8, and you got 7 or 8 issues in those books.
Would you rather be paying $5 for or $4 for an issue of Spider-Man, or $7 for an issue of Spider-Girl Digest?
A Spider-Girl Digest all day long.
That's a no-brainer for me. My God.
The fact is issues 72 through 100 have never been published. There has been rumors that Spider-Girl is going to get the epic book treatment.
What issues haven't been reprinted?
72 through 100 of the first volume.
Huh.
Never were. They got to issue 72 in the digest, and they stopped printing them. It's been a bone of contention for me and the guys over at Spidey Dude for a long time that they never finished those digests. I'm hoping with the epic book collection that that's been teased on Amazon for this August being released, that they will get to that point. They covered all the Clone Saga. If they can get, they got the Clone Saga omnibuses now. If they can get all the Clone Saga published, they can certainly get all of Spider-Girl's run published.
Yeah. All right, I think that's a wrap. Any final thoughts? Let's go around the horn. Mike, final thoughts.
Well, once again, great to be on, and great great for all of our YouTuber folks of watching and putting up with us and their shenanigans, and also the epic beatdowns that we've had.
We've had some too, haven't we?
We had some, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
All right.
Zach, final thoughts.
Man, I'm hoping 2018 will be better than 2017, because good Lord, was it a slog.
George, final thoughts. You have had a rough couple hours, sir, with symbiotes and kids and Ashley's.
Well, this whole Venom thing, it's like I said in the review show, it's trash. It's hot garbage, and it honestly, Marvel should be embarrassed for putting it out. They should feel bad for putting it out. I mean, it is hack work. It is some of the, even for as bad as Amazing Spider-Man has been, and let's face it, folks, it's been shitty. Even as bad as Amazing Spider-Man has been, this explores the space on awful. And the bad thing is that Ryan Stegman is an incredible talent.
Yes.
Ryan Stegman is wonderful, and he is just an insane artist. And to couple that man's genius, that man's talent with this stupid ass, pathetic, lame story, that's sinful. That's sinful in my eyes. Yeah. This is garbage. And the thing is, does anyone think that anything is going to get better between now and the end of the what's the Red Goblin bullshit? Does anyone have high hopes for that? JR, you're the biggest Goblin fan here. Are you looking forward to that?
Dreading it.
Yeah.
Dreading it.
So that's how we're starting off 2018, Spider fans.
Yeah.
Ashley, final thoughts.
When Marvel is making their garbage my kind of garbage, that's not a good thing. I've been rating these well. That is not taken as a sign of encouragement. I regularly indulge in the bottom layer of the dumpster. So don't keep it up. I'm enjoying it, but have some standards.
You can stop now. Is basically what you're trying to do.
That's
you can stop. I think that we'll look back on 2018 as a year of transition.
Yeah, hopefully.
You know, it just occurred to me, JR. What if the Red Goblin isn't Norman?
Let's just talk about it later. I mean, we've
Okay.
we've exhausted
that topic to death.
We've exhausted the line of thought.
We will experience the pain when we get there.
Final thoughts out of JR. What's your thoughts, sir?
I was just going to ask a question. Are the editors not editing because they don't want to, or they're told not to? I mean, that's kind of what I'm wondering. You were talking about
editor Nick Lowe in this case is kind of an oxymoron. I've come to realize.
Evan Barry on YouTube says Red Goblin is not Lily Hollister. All right, thank you, everybody. We'll be back in February.
See y'all in February. Thanks, guys.
Yep. See you guys.